Hi, everyone. Welcome to day two of our 19 Days of June live stream. This is our mindfulness series that really just allows us to collectively, together, practice mindfulness no matter how busy our lives are. So, this one will be shorter than yesterday's because yesterday's was more of an introduction. Um, and I wasn't actually sure how my voice was going to go this morning. So, it's feeling a lot better now. So, this is good news. But to introduce myself for anyone who might be finding this one before you found yesterday's or who might be new to me and my work. My name is Jess Jash. I am the owner of J-Leigh and I am an embodied leadership coach and trainer. So that is the specific focus around uh, mindfulness, well-being, embodiment practices for emotional intelligence, communication, stress management, nervous system education, particularly in areas of leadership, particularly in areas of how we lead ourselves or how we lead others. Both are very, very important, both equally important. And we cannot have professional development without personal development. So, in short, that is the work I do. I work one on one with leaders of any kind, of all sorts, in coaching capacities or in VIP days where we have more of an intensive or retreats, and I also deliver my Embodied Leaders Academy training to workplaces, teams, groups. And it's a lot of fun, but it's also very, very powerful. So that is my work. Let's dive into day two. So if you haven't watched or listened to day one, that is okay. You can go back after this, you can catch up. None of these necessarily require the previous days, but you might find it helpful to layer on. So it's sort of designed that way. But what we covered in day one was how you can't do meditation or mindfulness wrong. You can't do it wrong. In even if even if you have all of these busy thoughts running, even if your mind does not shut the hell up, even if, right? You can't do it wrong. And I mentioned yesterday that that is the biggest, most common comment or feedback or complaint made to me about people's own personal meditation practice is, oh, my mind is just so busy, I'm doing it wrong. And really what we're here to do is just to sort of debunk that in the way of you're doing that exactly right. But I go more into that yesterday. So that's what we covered yesterday. We are practicing that again today, but we're going to practice our very foundational breathing style. So this is one of the first things I learnt when I started my yoga teacher training. It is still one of the most important and useful things and tools that I come back to time and time and time again. It's also one of the simplest ones, and that makes it the simplest to forget as well. So that is our foundational breath. So our diaphragmatic breath, our belly breath. If you have a literal brain and belly breath makes you feel like you're meant to be breathing into your belly, that's not actually what's happening. So let me step back a moment and explain. Most of the time, as adults, and this is a broad generalization, right? But that's what we get out of a live stream versus actual one-on-one work. But most of the time, as adults, we forget how to breathe properly. As babies, typically, if you watch a baby breathe, you see their belly rise rather than their chest, right? Like they've got this diaphragmatic breath down pat. As adults, it's all in our chest and shoulders. So you might, if you start to notice, you might notice in yourself or others that when they breathe in, the shoulders lift. But that's not actually breathing into your lungs. Your lungs don't live up here in your chest and shoulders. They live here in your torso, right? Underneath your ribs. So there's different forms of that um, unuseful style of breath that can come out. But I really want to focus on how we can just practice the useful version. And that is our diaphragmatic breath. So if you're a visual person like me, you visualize where the lungs sit, and then underneath the lungs is our diaphragm. And when we breathe in properly, if we're breathing in towards the bottom of the lungs and 3D, like in all directions, right? But if we're breathing in towards the bottom of the lungs, that naturally presses the diaphragm down. And what happens when that fills up uh, downwards is the natural byproduct of that is that the belly moves gently forward out of the way, which is why it's often called a belly breath, because that's what we see is that belly gently moving forward out of the way to create space for that breath, that expanding lung and diaphragm pressing down. It's not a forceful push out of your belly. Um, it can be easy to kind of trick yourself and go, but I am breathing properly. And you're just pushing your belly out when you're breathing in. It's not a forceful push out. It's just a natural byproduct. So don't focus so much on your belly going out, but focus more on imagining that you're breathing down towards the bottom of your lungs. It can be a lot easier to do this or practice this laying down on your back with your hands maybe on that lower belly, sort of belly button area. That tactile sensation can help just give our brain that link to, oh, that's where I'm breathing towards. But if you are doing something else, if you were driving, if you were walking, if you were sitting, if you were standing, it all works. You can practice it at any stage. So you don't have to close your eyes here, but if you are safe to, and it feels comfortable to, and by safe, I mean you're not driving or operating machinery or doing anything where you need to have your eyes open to stay safe, you can close your eyes if that feels good too. But we're going to practice this because we're all busy humans, and that's the whole point of this live stream. We're going to practice this as if you could be doing anything and still practice it, which is the good news. So just start off by practicing. That is the hardest thing. It's the simplest thing, but it's the hardest thing. It's the easiest part to forget. So as you breathe in, just notice where your natural breath goes. As you breathe in, is it in your chest? Is it in your shoulders? It's okay. We're not shaming anything here. There's none of that. And just start to slowly, gradually, with each new inhale, send that breath a little deeper. It might take a moment to kind of catch on. It might take longer than a moment. This might be a practice that you have to keep coming back to. But the more we practice it, the easier it becomes. So just breathing in as if you're breathing down towards the bottom of your lungs. So we're working just with this diaphragmatic belly breath today. I'm going to add layers to this as we go. We're just getting that sensation first. So imagine, again, if you are a visual person, imagine you've got a glass or a bottle of water. And as you breathe in, it's like you're pouring water into that. So it fills from the bottom up, right? So that's where your belly will expand first. And then it's maybe your side ribs. So you're breathing in. And then as you exhale, it's like you've got a straw in that glass or bottle of water, and it lowers from the top down. Based on what we can see, it lowers from the top down. So if you breathe in and it does fill up, if you breathe in enough, well, your belly expands first, and then you have more. You may not. As you exhale, that top softens first before the belly empties. So just use whatever visual you need if you're not a visual person. Just practicing that deeper breath in. And then as you can, just match that length of inhale with the exhale. Exhaling out. So we're going to do 5 more. You can continue and do more. You go at your own cadence of breath. I can only guess what that is as you count down from 5. So breathe in, 5. Breathe out, 5. Breathe in 4. We're not shortening the breath. This is just the counts of breath, the number of breaths. Breathe out 4. Breathe in 3. Breathe out 3. Breathe in 2. Breathe out 2. Breathe in last 1 and out. And just let your natural breath return, however that is for you. Here's the reminder for today, because as I mentioned, the inspiration for this series was that it can be really easy for the busyness to pile on top of us, and then we just feel like we don't have time, or we really struggle to set the time, or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is for you. And I want you to think about the simplicity of that breath, the actual breathing part of that is maybe a minute. It might be slightly longer if you once you start to practice. So we're not aiming for quick breaths is really the point. It's not forced or exerting or quick, because that's more activating for our system. We're aiming to slow it down, but not slowing it down too much that it becomes activating on the other end too. So you discern that, you feel into that. But what we're really doing is taking, let's generously say, no more than 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, to take maybe just 5 conscious diaphragmatic breaths. And the reason these breaths are so useful and so spouted by a lot of people, like we talk about it a lot, this is not new information necessarily, but it might be this reminder, it might be new for you. The reason we talk about this kind of breath is because it is directly linked to our nervous system. Our breath is directly linked to how our nervous system is functioning. Our breath is one of those things that um, is an automatic function of our bodies, but it at the same time is also something we can control. Our heartbeat is an automatic function of our bodies, but we can't necessarily control it directly. But we can control the breath to a degree, while it also knows how to function automatically. So there's a lot that our breath is able to do for us um, by default, but also with our support and help. So there is a lot of research linking how our breath helps impact our stress system, how we feel mentally, emotionally, physically. There is so much to our breath. So when we start practicing that diaphragmatic breath, and it takes less than 2 minutes, you can do it while you are doing something else. You can do it while you are driving. You can do it while you're cooking. You can do it while you're literally doing anything else, because you're breathing anyway, right? The more that you practice this with consistency, this is the other thing, with consistency, the more you will notice a difference. And it's just a basic start. It's a very simple start, and it's not, none of this is going to solve everything, right? But it is going to help support us. And that is all we can do for ourselves, is just do the things that support us as best we can without expecting it to be perfect. It is a support mechanism. It is a support pillar of the building that is ourselves and our lives and our bodies and our systems. None of this is going to be everything, but it is going to be very, very supportive, especially if it's something that you don't already practice. You'll notice it even more. If you do already practice it, please keep going. So that's today's practice. Super simple. I will be scheduling tomorrow's shortly, but I will see you again tomorrow for our day 3 of these mindfulness practices. It's really simple mindfulness practices. A reminder, I do work one-on-one with people as well as deliver training, and it's a whole educational academy training to workplaces and teams. If you're interested, the link is in the caption to book a free and confidential consult call just to find out more information and see if it's something that's useful for you. Go ahead and book it if you are interested. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.